Okay, the next plugin we want to talk about is the Container Effects Rotate, found within your Container Effects, within your Container Plugins tab. So you can see that I have a scene set up here. I hit play, the header bars come on, but my full page graphic of data does not. Now, one thing I could have done is before I copied all these things, I have the original bar here, so I could have came in here and animated each one of these elements on individually by themselves by using the containers. We have like a position, we have a flag, we have a runner, another team member information. So I could have brought all of them on or animated all of them on first and then copied 10 of them. But being that would be a little bit more work and it would have created a mess in the stage, what I chose to do instead is to just copy them plain and then use one of these container effects instead. So we're going to do the container effects rotate. As you can see, I have my bars laid out here and they're just arranged with a grid arrange. Once you have that, I can come down to my CFX rotate and drag that onto my container. Once we do that, you see everything disappears. That's natural. We need to come into the CFX rotate and adjust the settings to be able to see it. And the first thing that we have here is the progress percentage. So I'm going to go ahead and keyframe that. I'm just going to start at 0 and my progress percentage is at 0. I'm going to hit set keyframe. I'm going to advance this up to 100% roughly and then hit set keyframe again. So when I hit play, you can see how my graphics rotate on. Now we probably have a stop point in here. So I just need to make sure that it finishes before the stop point. So if we hit play again on this animation, you can see how this rotates on. Now, if you don't like this rotation, this is when we can come into the actual plugin and start messing with the different settings. Once we have it keyframed, it's easier to see. So the first settings that we have here is the direction. We can go from the start or from the end. If we go to the end, it's going to go in reverse. We have a random. If we hit play, it just randomly comes on. A static, it's all going to bring it on together. A wave is going to play through it. A center is going to bring it to the center or go out from the center, and then there's a to center. So each one of these little variables will affect the way that animates on. Furthermore, you have additional settings down here that you can affect. The big effect though is the container order over here, where you can do a tree, a horizontal, or a vertical. And you can see when we switch some of these how your other settings get affected too. So we're going to go to horizontal, and when you're on horizontal, you have a direction left or right. We have an anchor horizontal, left, center, right, an anchor vertical as a top, a center, or a bottom. So by switching all of these things, we're going to get a completely different way that these bars or this data is going to play out or animate on. So if I change it to vertical, we can go left, top, center, just random choosing these things, and you can see how it changes it again. We also have an axis, X, Y, and Z down here that we can affect too. So if we change it to horizontal, let's come from the right and anchor the horizontal on the left, anchor the vertical on the bottom, use axis X, we'll hit play, and it completely changes the way the animation comes on again. Now if we go to the left and change it to top, again, it's completely different. So the way that you want these things to animate on may or may not work for you. Here you can see in this example, when we have it set to left, center, center, Y, we get a little remnants over here on the left hand side that we're seeing before the animation comes on. This is part of the 3D object, and you can see again here rotating on this way how some of these things aren't positioned correctly in Z position, so some of it is getting lost. If you don't take this into account beforehand, using this plugin may not always work on certain settings. That's why we chose this example to show that our Z position wasn't really taken into account beforehand. So using a rotate from left to right may not be the best way. We may need to come over and do it a different way so that we don't see anything that we don't want to see. So basically this looks a little bit better. You don't see the Z position or the Z problems, but you do see too much of this before the animation actually starts. So in a case like this, what you can do is the begin here is at -90. If we increase this a little bit more, you can see it takes away that, but we still have those little red things. So in a situation like this, what you can do is just continue to find one of these settings where you may not see anything, and or you can check out one of the other container plugins that we can use to animate these things on.